Hi, folks. Welcome to the Creative Nomad, presented by TrueAwesomeLife.com. I'm your host, JP Adkins, and I created this podcast because I want to tell the stories of the radicals, the ones who are out there making the world a better, more beautiful place, the amazing authors, artists, musicians, thought leaders, coaches, and yes, nomads who are out there living their true awesome lives and want to help others do the same. Are you ready to live your true awesome life? Go to TrueAwesomeLife.com and start your journey today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Creative Nomad. I am here today with Paul Levitin, and I'm just so excited about this. He is an amazing coach, and you guys need to know all about him. Paul, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here as well. As you said, my name is Paul Levitin. I am a happiness and self-confidence coach, and I have a company and a brand called The Happy Healthy Human. And my podcast, my coaching, and my education platform are all centered around helping people live happier, healthier, more confident lives.
I love it. I love it. And Paul, I know that's what you do, but who are you really at your core?
That's a good question. Who am I really at my core? I don't know. I'm a pretty simple guy. I like to be active and learn. That's really what I do every day. I try to move my body and I try to move my mind, and I try to grow every day in some way. That's not to say that I have to be doing anything crazy, but just, again, I like to be moving. I like to be taking in experiences, again, both physically and mentally. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm happy. It doesn't really matter where or when or how. As long as I'm kind of moving forward, then I'm in a good place.
So I know that you just had a major move. Where I know that now you're in Philadelphia, right about where you were kind of directly across from where I was when I was there. Where did you move from?
So I'm from New York, Brooklyn, New York. New York City. I've been there my entire life, pretty much. And I just came to Philadelphia last week. I haven't moved here. I'm in an Airbnb right now. So I'm actually traveling for the foreseeable future. I have 10 or 11 cities booked so far that I'll just be, kind of gallivanting around and doing my own thing, working from my laptop, wherever it is that I pop up. So I'm here in Philadelphia for another 2 weeks. And then I head to the next location.
That is so cool. That is so cool. You're a man after my own heart. When I was originally talking about going nomadic, my Airbnbs came up too. And I chose to do the RVs because Airbnbs, I couldn't have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the kind of impetus. So what made you want to go nomadic?
Yeah. Well, it really is just that, as I said before, the things that I don't need a lot, right? So for a long time, especially in my 20s, I think I stayed around New York City. Again, I'm from the city, so I've always been a city guy, and I always stayed in the city because I thought that that's what I needed, right? Because when I was younger, I was in my 20s, I was going out, I was partying, I was doing the city thing, right? Going out of Manhattan, going out for drinks, blah, blah, blah. But as I've grown and as I've grown in my own personal life and in my business and my career, I've kind of left a lot of that behind. Not that I don't, go out for a drink now and then, or go, I don't love a nice party here and there. It's not what I want to base my life around. And what I realize, what I do base my life around, not just want to, what I do, base everything around is just, again, moving, living, being, right? So I ride my bike, I go for hikes, I go for walks, I read a lot, I do, whatever. I sit outside in the sun. That was a huge part of it too. Especially through COVID, a big part of what made me not go crazy was being outside. So in New York City, COVID things were shut down for almost an entire year. And for the months where I could be outside, I was happy. And for the months where it got cold and I had to be inside, I was unhappy. So I was like, okay, what I don't really want or care about the things that I thought I cared about, being having access to all of these nice, dinner places, or having access to all these parties or whatever. It's like that stuff exists everywhere. Right. I'm in Philadelphia. I'm sure there's nice places to eat here. I'm sure there's nice parties. When I go to every city has them. I've traveled, and so what it boils down to is it just was a flip of what I thought I needed. And when I realized, I was like, I don't need to be in any one place. When I have happiness within myself, then I can be happy wherever I go. And for a long time, and this time I also had a job. I was working as a personal trainer and managing a gym in Brooklyn. So for a long time, that's what kept me there. And I always had that. I was like, well, I can't leave because I have this job. And then I quit. And then I decided, well, that was the only thing that was really keeping me there. Obviously, I have family and things like that, but they'll be there when I want to visit. And it just was a thing of like, there is no reason, everything that was keeping me there was a made up story of why I had to stay, why I couldn't leave, why I couldn't do anything. So I just, decided to try something different.
Yeah, I very much parallels some of the things that I went through when I was going nomadic. It was, I worked online. I work online. Why am I in the cold? I don't like cold. I don't like winter. And, when I first started the whole thing, I did have responsibilities. My mother, I was taking care of my mother for many, many years. And so, I had there were things that had to be cleaned and completed, and it wasn't right away. But when I finally did get nomadic, I don't regret it. And right now I'm in Michigan. Yes, I've seen my family, but I've seen my family, like I've seen each of my family members like once. And, I've been here for almost 3 weeks now. So it's not even that I've talked to them, I've called them, I'm still in contact, but it's not like I'm sitting here going all out with all my friends and all that kind of stuff like I used to anyways.
Right.
Right. And I'm in town.
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? Exactly that. It was like, my mom lives in New York, but, she lives in upstate, so I was like, well, I'm only an hour and a half away from her, but it's like, I would still see her maybe a handful of times a year, right? My friends like, oh, well, everyone lives in Brooklyn. I don't want to leave because that's where my friends are. How many times, like I was only hanging out with them every couple of months or something like that. Like, it's not like again, when I was in my 20s, I was going out 3, 4, 5 nights a week. And we were like, I was living that lifestyle, but that also wasn't a healthy lifestyle. And it was bad in a lot of ways. So it's like I was clinging on to this narrative of like, oh, well, I need to be here because this is where everything is. This is where my life is. But people grow and things change. And, again, in reality, I'm happy to head back to New York for whatever reason, for a party or for whatever thing is happening, to see my mom, to see my nephew or something like that. But that doesn't mean I have to revolve everything I do around that.
Yeah. So where are some of the places that you're going in your travels? I mean, I'm just curious to see the places that you chose compared to,
Yeah. So, I mean, right now I'm in Philly. So after this is DC, Charlotte, North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Florida. In Florida, I'll be in a few different cities: Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Then after that, so I'm kind of going south, then coming back up around to Atlanta, Nashville, and then Austin. And that takes me into the end of the year. And that's as far as I have planned. And then I'll be in Austin with my car and my things. And then I have to figure out where to go from there.
Awesome. May I suggest New Orleans?
Oh yeah, that's definitely that's a in between Nashville and Austin. That's something I'm trying to see there too. The thing is that I'm trying to go each place for a longer time, right? So again, I'm in Philly for almost a month. I'm in DC for 2 weeks. So I'm not trying to do like a quick weekend here or there.
Yeah,
because I really want to experience the places. So I'm trying to fit a lot in, but I also want to I want to be there. Again, I've been to New Orleans, I've been to Nashville, I've been to a lot of these places, but I've been there for a weekend. I've been there for a bachelor party or a work event. I want to live this place. I want to experience it as someone who has to go grocery shopping and do laundry and then do the things that a normal person would do in different places.
Yeah, I think that was one of the biggest changes that I made when people were so people met me in New Orleans. I went to New Orleans twice, actually, in my travels last year. And the first time I was by myself. Okay, great. And I left some family. I was staying with some family in Mississippi at the time. And I went to New Orleans the first time on my way to the beach. So I had to go grocery shopping. I went grocery shopping. I did all the stuff I set up. And I only went into the city itself like 3 times, right? I think it was 3 times that I actually went into the city to hang out because I was staying at a campground outside the city at the time. In the future, I won't do it that way. There's a totally different plan for the next time I do New Orleans. But, but I got to actually be there, and I was gone for a month. I went and stayed on outside of Galveston there's a beach at Crystal Beach, and you just sit there and you can park on the beach. And so I took a month on the beach. I call it my saltwater cleanse. It was amazing in so many different ways, but I really got to live Galveston in a way that was really unique. And then I went back to New Orleans for another week, right? So the funny thing is that the karaoke host thought that I'd lived there, because I just so happened caught her like 4 times in those things. You know, she does 2 different bars. I was there like, I went there the one time when I was on my way there, and then on my way back, I kind of did the same thing. So it was really kind of fun to like just be there. And Galveston was the same way. I was there for a month. I went into Galveston probably 5, 6. Well, I went in there a few more times. I went out like 4 or 5 times. But you had to go into. There was a lot of things you just had to go into Galveston because you go into Galveston. Like it's where the stores are. So it's always a pain in the ass because it's a ferry to go across.
Oh, wow.
So it was really nice. Yeah. So I could get one to live in these spaces and just be. So what has been so far? How long you've only been doing this for about a week and a half? Is Philadelphia your first stop?
Yeah, first stop, literally just a week. I started I quit my job about 2 months ago now.
Okay.
So I've done some interspersed traveling in there. I flew to California for 2 weeks. I was in Europe for a week and a half. But this is like, I started my road trip where I drove with my stuff in my car. And that was Philadelphia was the first stop. And that started last week.
Awesome. So what was some of the things because I know from people, my own experience and other people, what were some of the things that people were saying to you when you said, I'm just going to get in the car and go?
A few different reactions. A lot of you shores, a lot of what are you going to do? That's crazy from some people. But it's funny for the vast majority, because like everyone I told, I was like, yeah, like I quit. People know I worked at the gym for so long. I worked at the gym I worked at for almost 10 years. Some people are like, what happened to your job? What are you going to do? What are you going to do for money? All this stuff. I was like, I quit my job. Every single person I say that to, they have the same reaction. They're like, oh my God, congratulations. Right. No one ever says, no one responds to, I quit my job negatively, because and that to me is so telling. It's like, everyone hates what they do, so it's like, I'm just like, people are like, what are you going to do about money? What are you going to do about this? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my own online business. I make money. It's not the biggest business in the world yet.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's something that I'm working on, but it's trusting that it's going to grow in the way that I want it to, the way that I believe it can. But it's also just trusting that things will work out, So some people, again, have, especially some of my clients and stuff like that, where, a little bit more weary, but it's just, to me, it's more telling of them as a person, right? So someone who is like, I had one of my clients who is very much like, he's like, what the hell? You're just gonna leave and you're gonna drop everything. What are you even gonna do? But it's like, that's him projecting his insecurities on me. So I just think it's funny. I'm interested in how other people react to things, but at the end of the day, I don't actually care. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless. But it's a funny thing to observe the way people think. And so many people think it's so cool. And that's a big thing, a big like light bulb for me, is like, so many people are like, oh my God, that's so amazing. That's so cool that you're doing that. I wish I could do that. And I'm just like, you could. Like, there's nothing special about what I'm doing. Like, I'm literally like, I saved up enough money that if things don't go well, I won't starve to death. And I just did it. And so that's a big part of what I do with my coaching and with my podcast and everything, is just kind of like me, I don't even like to say leading by example, because I don't think I'm an example for people, but just like to show it's like, there's another way to live life. Like, people think that we're in this box of like, you go to college and then you get a job and then you work that job for 40 years and then you have the kids and then you do this and you live where it's like, like things that can be one way, but it's also, we live in an unprecedented time in human history where it's like, you can do things from the internet. You can just get up and go. You can make your life into whatever you want it to. So I think people see that and they think it's like inspiring. People have asked me about starting a YouTube and doing a vlog and like documenting this and stuff like that. People want to follow along with it, which I think is interesting. I think it's cool that people want to follow me. But again, it's more of a thing that shows it's like that shows how sadly unhappy people are, and that they want to so badly cling on to what I'm doing. like, oh my gosh, I want to follow around on your adventures. It's like, wouldn't it be cooler if you just went on your own adventures? Like that would be my answer.
You know what? I had some amazing inspiration. The Creativity RV is Robin over there. She's amazing. And I did my own podcast. I did my own YouTube channel, and I was really adamant about it until I went on the road. And I have probably 100 hours worth of video that needs to be edited from last year, where I've started episodes that just never got made because at the time I couldn't edit, or this was happening or that was happening or whatever. So I never got to them. Right. And I appreciate the people that have done it because I appreciate the inspiration that they are. And I realized that I couldn't live my life that way. Like I couldn't live my life in the YouTube world. Right. And it's a very challenge, and I'm live all the time. I'm live on Facebook. Give me a live video. I could do a live video all day long. We could sit and play. Right. Yeah. But me having to go and edit and actually do YouTube, because YouTube's a different beast, was like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why I have a podcast. People ask me, like, people are always telling me, like, you should do YouTube. You would be so good on YouTube. But it's like, I like podcasts. Podcasts make sense to me. I enjoy talking, clearly, right? I also enjoy listening. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't sit on YouTube. Like, it's not a medium that I ingest. So it's very hard for me to be passionate about making it. So yeah, I'm on Instagram. I do stories. I do lives. I do Facebook. I do this, that. But yeah, it's more about, I think it is cool. I do want to document this for myself. I'm also trying to do some volunteer work everywhere that I go. So like, I think that's like just a cool thing to, again, and like, not so I can get views from it, but it's like, right. I think that is a cool thing to document. Cause it's like, it's showing people that there is another way. It's like, oh, you just left your job to go volunteer. It's like, I mean, I guess like, I think that I'm very big on just kind of the universe will find a way, and I just feel like if I'm living in accordance with my values and my core beliefs, and again, I'm being active and I'm treating my physical body well, and I'm learning and reading, and I'm treating my mental mind well, it's like, how could things not work out for me? It just has to be. And I think that that's a cool thing to show people. And I think people are inspired by that, which is like cool for me that I get to like inspire people, but it's important, I think, for people to see that there's another way to do things.
Yeah, I think that there's people of, my generation above, right? So Generation X and up, right, have this thing because Generation X saw the decline of like capitalism, really, when they stopped caring about you, right? In the 80s and 90s, it's when everything kind of fell apart. And so we witnessed that. And our parents had these great jobs that had retirements and had all these things, right? And you worked for 40 years, you got your watch, you got your retirement, you were set. But the problem is that doesn't exist anymore. And the thought process that went behind that doesn't exist anymore. So the company isn't going to take care of you like they would. You don't have that in most companies, I should say. You will die today. They will have the ad up tomorrow to replace you. So when we start living your life, the life that you want, and actually start thinking about, okay, so I can do anything. What is it that I want to do? What is my purpose? I think that people that are older get super scared about that. Like, because they want to create that stability in that space that really isn't there.
Yeah, for sure. And exactly as you just said, like, especially older people, but everyone, right? Stability, certainty is like a deep human need, right? So the uncertain is scary, and it represents the unknown, and it represents fear and possibility of death, right? And then like certainty is like what we cling to, but in reality, certainty isn't real. Nothing is certain. As you said, you could wake up tomorrow dead. You could get fired. We're about to be in maybe a recession, inflation, this, that, and the other thing. It's just like nothing is certain. And again, when I understand that, it's like, what is certain? Nothing is certain. The only thing that is certain is me, right? I know that only thing I can control. I can't control my job. I can't control my boss. I can't control the economy. I can control me. And what I don't know is anything outside of today, right? I don't, again, tomorrow isn't promised. I don't know that there's any religion, any God, any universe, anything outside of what I have. So what do I have? I have this life. I have these next 50, 60, 80, 100 years, maybe, depending if technology, improves how long I'm going to live for. But in reality, I have this time here right now. So to me, it's all about enjoying it. It's about making the most of it. It's about being happy. And so, when people say like, even when I was a personal trainer, I would go out with my friends or something like that, after for happy hour drinks. So they're all getting out of their like 9 to 5 desk jobs. And like, we're talking and like, yeah, I made the least money out of all of them because I was a personal trainer and they were working at finance jobs and they were working on Wall Street and they were doing this and that, but they all hated their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They were all just like, oh, I need this drink because today was so hard or this, that, or like, like it was just didn't seem fun. And to me, and then they're looking at me like, oh, like, well, this guy is, barely scraping by with his job as a trainer. It's not even a real job, but it's like, but I'm happy.
Right.
And it's just a flip of everything. And again, this is a big New York City thing, hustle and bustle and all that stuff. And that's a big part of why I wanted to leave too and explore other places. But it's just a thing of like, to me, all that's important, not all that's important, the most important thing, again, is happiness and fulfillment. And, that's what I do for myself. That's what I help my clients with. And that, again, that's a scary thing for any people of any age, because it means like, then I have to know what makes me happy. Then I have to know what's fulfilling. Then I have to know what my quote unquote purpose is. And that's just as big of an ask as anything else. So that's, it's when you're faced with that, that's the gaping unknown. And it's easy for people to go like, no, I'll just stay at my job. No, I don't know. Starting a business, yeah, that seems cool. Being an entrepreneur, like making your own way, that seems like a great thing. But it's like, I'll take the safety net of a job that's definitely going to pay me $70K a year, rather than the possibility of making more and having freedom, but also the possibility of failing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that really, if there's nothing else I do in the rest of my days, if I could do nothing else for the rest of my days, if I can help people know who they are, what their vision of success is, and what their purpose is, I've done my job. That's my job in life, is to let them know who they are, what their purpose is, and what their vision of success is. Because we are fed that hustle mentality, especially these days. Like it's gotten to like stupid levels, right? And not just in New York. I lived in Detroit. It was the same way here. Different now. It's here. It might be automakers and stuff. Finance will be something else. I actually worked in financial services when I was at one point, when I had my nervous breakdown, was because of financial services, right? So really, what is it that you want to live? Who are you? What is your purpose? And what is your vision of success? And how can we make that happen? Not, the penthouse, not the billionaire row.
Right. And, I use this example. It's funny. I actually just did a presentation for my group, my coaching group yesterday, all about money mindset. And, basically the long and short of it was that like people put so much emphasis on money, and money is important. We live in a society that you need money, but we put so much overemphasis on it as if money actually, and everyone knows that money truly doesn't quote unquote buy happiness, right? Everyone will say like, well, we know money doesn't buy happiness, but I still want more of it, right? But I still, I know it doesn't buy happiness. But it's basically, I heard a funny quote. It's like, I know money doesn't buy happiness, but I'll see for myself, And it's kind of that thing of like, yes, I get it theoretically, but I still want more money just in case it does, And the thing is that once you understand, again, millionaires, billionaires commit suicide. You understand that money isn't solving your problems, whatever your thing is. And then I can also see a guy down on Skid Row, homeless, living in a tent, who's the happiest person I've ever seen in my life. So it's like, it flips everything that we understand about what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad and what's needed and what's not needed. And when you can start to look at life like that and just understand that it's not about having, it's about being and doing, I think it's unlocks a lot of potential, but it's also scary because, again, you're eschewing all possible social norms, right? You're saying that if this is right, everything else is wrong, right? If me saying, it's not about money, it's not about this, it's about happiness, like if that's right, then like everything that society is built on is a farce, it's a lie, which I mean, I think is the truth, but it's a very scary thing for people to get behind.
And it's not that, so I don't ever think of in terms of right and wrong, right? It either works or it doesn't. And it works for a lot of people, right? That whole mindset works for a lot of people. And albeit, go for it.
Right.
Naomi Judd is a really great recent example, right? The day before she was to go on stage to win a Lifetime Achievement Award in her field with all the money that you can possibly need, she decided that she wanted to kill herself.
That's wild.
The night before.
Yeah. I mean, another example of that is, and I was just reading, someone was just posted about Anthony Bourdain, and this is a guy who by all metrics had the coolest life you could ever imagine, right? This guy is getting paid to go travel the world and drink and have fun and meet fancy people. And this is like, this guy killed himself. So, it's just, and you're right. I don't think of things in terms of right and wrong. I'm a big proponent of there is only what is, right? There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. There is no past. There is no future. There's only right now. There's only this moment. We're here live. I'm here with you. You're here with me. Everything that I've done in my life has led me to exactly this moment, for better, for worse, for good, or for bad. So it's like, and the point is that to want it to be any other way is inherently flawed, because it can't be any other way. I can't be upset with something that happened in the past because the thing happened. I tell my clients all the time when they're upset, I'm like, will you being angry change it? Because if it will, then I'll be angry with you. I'll kick and stomp. I'll throw a temper tantrum right along with you.
Mm-hmm.
If it won't, then what are we doing here? Where, because our energy, the things we do have are time and energy, and those are our most finite resources. And when we spend those frivolously, that's when we leave ourselves in a bad place, because we could be using that energy and that time to build something better, rather than to so tightly grab onto what could have been, what should have been. The shoulds are a huge one, right? Oh my gosh, it should have been like this. It's not fair, right? I say, oh yeah, you're right. It's not fair. You're right. 100% you're right. It's not fair. Now what?
Yeah. I actually struggled with this recently. And anyone that's been following along knows that last September, I went into some water in my motorhome, in my fifth wheel, actually. And it flooded out, got totaled. Not very fun. Then I bought a motorhome, and I was literally 6 hours into going to get it registered back, because I had to go back to Michigan from, I was in Georgia when I picked it up, the motorhome. But 6 hours in, the motor blew. And literally, I'm still getting the motor fixed. So all last fall to winter, all the plans that I had were changed.
Yeah.
So everything, and I had to fight the whole, I'm in the cold, it snowed. Because one of my big things was I don't want to be in the cold. One of the other big things, I want to be at Palm Springs Pride. It was just the first week of November. Because I always make excuses why I couldn't go, right? And I went once. It was amazing with a few clients. I had people that was going to meet me, and it just didn't work. And so I've got all this story behind that, right? And and that's when the Living Your True Awesome Life guide came up, was because in this moment, I have control of the satisfaction I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I give away in my group. If you go into Freedom Entrepreneurs United, that's what we give away, is this guide, how to live your true awesome life now, even if your circumstances suck.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I'm so everything that you're saying is very, very topical for me. I'm reading a book. I just started a book this morning called The Story Paradox, and it's all about how story runs our life. I'm also reading. I just read one book, and I'm reading a second one by Byron Katie, which I don't know if you've ever heard of Byron Katie. She does a process known as the work, and the work is all about exactly that, accepting what is. Because again, to argue with what is to argue with the reality of the universe. And in her words, which I echo, it's like, what could be sillier when you think about it like that? It's like to be angry about anything is to argue with the universe about the reality of life. And it's like, again, you can't change reality. So to be angry or upset or anything with it. And I had the exact experience when literally the day I quit my job, I put in my notice, right? I didn't want to quit. Again, I've been working there for years. It was a great place. So I'd give them like a month notice. But I told them, I was like, I have this trip planned. Like, I want to leave. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I love you guys, but this is just something I have to do for myself. My boss tried to talk me out of it. He's just like, you sure? This is a good job. It might not be here for you when you come back, all this stuff. It's like, you know what? Sure. I'm sure it's fine. And like, just having that conversation was so hard for me, because it was like, it was scary. It was, I'm ripping out the safety net. Literally, I decided to walk home from work, which is like a 5-mile walk. Cause I was just like, it was a beautiful spring day. And I was just like, I did it. As I'm walking home, I get a text message and a call from 2 clients, one canceling, one backing out of their contract. And I was just like, instantly, the universe testing me. Like I was close enough that I could have turned back and gone back right to my boss and be like, no, you know what? And I thought about it for a second, but I just couldn't help but laugh. And I was just like, of course this would happen. Of course, as soon as I finally decide to do this, and obviously I was counting on that money, right? Like I had done my calculations of like, okay, I'm going to be good for this long because I have this, and this coming in. And instantly it was just like, nope, how about this? How about no? And it was just like, I couldn't help but laugh because again, it was like, what else could I do? I could be upset. I could text him back. Wait, what the hell? We had a deal, all this stuff. But it was just like, it's just like, and now I move forward from there with that understanding of like, next time I'll plan better. Next time I won't count money before it's in my bank account. Next time I won't, there's a million lessons to be learned from it, but to be upset, to be angry, to be anything else but appreciative of the lesson learned would just be me wasting my finite time and my finite energy and the small piece that I do have in this life. So I just was like, of course, I
love it. Yeah, definitely. So Paul, I could talk to you for another hour. Like we are so kindred spirits. I hope that I run into you on the road. When will you be in Nashville?
So not until September.
September? Okay. Yeah, I'll be way out there by then. I just so appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate who you are in the light that you are in the world. So thank you.
Thank you.
And so tell people how to get in touch with you.
Yeah. One, I appreciate that. That means a lot. And, maybe, again, the universe finds a way. So maybe our paths will cross. But again, if anyone wants to get in contact with me, the easiest way is any social media platforms. It's just my name at Paul Levitin, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. Contact me anywhere, DM me. I'm happy to chat. I love having conversations like this. And then my podcast is called Happy, Healthy Human. And that's anywhere that podcasts are found. And that's where, if you like conversations like this, I'm having conversations like this all the time. There's 80 some episodes and I have tons of freebies and giveaways and things that will help you on your journey to live a happy, healthy life.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Paul. Check out all that. It's here somewhere around here, depending where you're seeing this. And again, he's amazing. Check out the Freedom Entrepreneurs United community over on Facebook and get your free Live Your True Awesome Life Now guide. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Creative Nomad Show. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, go to creativenomadshow.com. There's also a link at the bottom. If you are a radical and would like to be a guest, you can apply to be on the show there. Thanks again, and know that you are loved. Awesome Life, we look for the world changers who want to live in creativity, authenticity, and profitability whenever, wherever. So check out trueawesomelife.com and let's get started.